Hello and welcome to the Workflow Academy. In this comprehensive Platform Academy video series, we explore the core tools of ServiceNow's Workflow Automation Suite to build flows and subflows, playbooks, and decision tables on the Now platform. Hi, my name is Lisa Hohenstein, and I work as an outbound product manager for the Now platform. My area of expertise is workflow automation, and I create enablement content, videos, articles, and blogs on the Now community. I have been with ServiceNow for almost 6 years and have been part of the ServiceNow ecosystem since 2016. Before joining ServiceNow, I was a platform owner, admin, and developer at a customer. And today I am joined by Jason Lefever to give you an updated overview of how to get started with Playbooks and Playbook experience. Welcome, and thank you for joining me. Please give a quick introduction to yourself, Jason.
Thanks, Lisa. I'm Jason Lefever. I'm a manager on the platform workflow automation product team. I'm responsible for our Playbook capabilities. I've been with ServiceNow for about 3.5 years, in low-code application development for closer to 10 years, and came to ServiceNow to really help us beef up our low-code automation capabilities. So happy to be here to talk about the latest and greatest with Playbooks and helping everyone get started using this capability to automate business process. Thanks for having me, Lisa.
Thank you so much. All right, as a quick reminder, we may mention coming releases or product features that are still in development. All timelines and features may be subject to change, so please don't make any purchasing decisions based on anything we say today. And with that, let's head into our quick overview of what we're talking about today. First, we'll give you an overview of why and when to use playbooks and why are they different from using flows and subflows. We will give a quick introduction on how to use playbooks, talk about some recent enablement, Playbook academies, and new training. And then Jason here will give us an amazing demo about a very, very new feature that comes out right this week with our latest store release, and that is called Playbook Variants. I'm very excited to see that live and in action, Jason.
Yeah, can't wait to show it off.
Awesome.
All
All right, so let's talk about why and when to use playbooks.
Absolutely. So whenever you think about workflow or business process on the ServiceNow platform, I want you to think playbooks. So anytime there is a sequence of multi-steps that achieve some kind of business outcome, that is a great opportunity to use playbooks. So if you need data to flow between steps of a process, if you need to maintain state, so as something progresses from new to in progress to resolved, if you need the ability for your users to walk away and pick back up where they left off, and also if you want to be able to configure these things, if you want to be able to define and manage your own business processes or take advantage of out-of-the-box application processes, these are all playbooks. We are essentially channel agnostic. So playbooks render in runtime in any seismic channel that you can imagine. So in configurable workspaces, in mobile, in Service Portal in Washington, D.C., we integrated with our portals and any custom implementations you can think of, such as a wizard or a custom UI builder page. And just to mention, we build playbooks on top of subflows and actions. So every step of a process, what we call an activity, is powered by a flow action or a subflow. So this is the best of workflow automation all working together.
Awesome. Exactly. And that already brings us to the questions, when would you build a flow versus when would you build playbooks? So the most important aspect is what Jason just said. Playbooks do not replace flows. Playbook activities leverage flows, subflows, or actions as the action plan behind each process activity. So that also means that you can reuse any of your flows, subflows, and actions that you have previously built for your cross-enterprise or cross-departmental playbooks that you're building. Flow Designer is your tool of choice to automate self-contained units of logic. And as such, you always want to keep reusability in mind. A flow action should only ever do one thing at a time. So calculating a value or things like that. Subflows are groupings of actions, for example, an approval, making a decision, and some following actions, and so on. The flows themselves will add the trigger layer to this. On the playbook, however, these are for complex processes. So anything that will span multiple departments or phases, involve multiple persona who work on the same process. Being able to surface a playbook to agents or even end users with a playbook can also be a major factor, since it eases the need for training and enablement to allow the agents and end users to fully work the playbook end to end.
All right, let's talk through some sample use cases for playbooks. So anywhere that you have, let's say, a life cycle for cases, let's say. So I have the intake of a case. There's work that's done after a requester or a customer has initiated a case, perhaps by an agent. There may be multiple steps that an agent or teams of agents complete, and then there is resolution of the case. We have things called optional activities that provide a truly dynamic execution experience. These are pre-configured activities that an agent can insert during runtime to add additional steps where necessary. Also, collaboration. So when we integrated playbooks with our portals, we introduced yet a new persona that can help complete work in a playbook, and that is the requester or end user persona. So if we've got, let's say, in a banking situation, we've got a customer that's applying for a new service with a financial services organization, the customer can initiate the playbook and complete some upfront steps. The agent can complete work that only an agent is able to complete, and back and forth to achieve the outcome. Finally, guided processes. So one of the things that Playbook addresses is the need to navigate a complex record form. So instead of having to open a knowledge article and review the process or memorize the process, in addition to navigating a complex form, the playbook breaks up forms into smaller chunks. And so whatever is presented to the user at this point in the process is the required increment that should be completed in order to move to the next step. We also ship out of the box presentational components to help the user understand, where am I in the life cycle of this process? How many stages are there? How many stages have been completed? How many stages are yet to come? Also, the same thing with activities. Who has completed what steps so far? What's to come? So really giving the persona bearings on what needs to be done in order to achieve the desired outcome. So ServiceNow ships, I think, about 200 out-of-the-box playbooks across all of our applications as of today. And
That's
so
so
this is
many.
just a quick walkthrough. I know, right? Like when I joined the company, we probably had 25 or so back in 2021, and now we're seeing significant growth. Application teams just really doubling down and using playbooks for process-driven outcomes. So here are a couple of examples across our workflows. In our customer workflow space, this is inclusive of our industry teams. We've got case management related processes for onboarding with self-service, service requests in our public sector space. So whether it's a general service request, social benefits, licensing and permitting, there are a number of out-of-the-box playbooks that support our public sector business. Financial services, we have various playbooks relating to card disputes or fraud detection and prevention. We actually announced a partnership with Visa earlier in the year where playbooks and financial services workflows are going to integrate with Visa's fraud prevention system. And Visa prevents something like $40 billion in fraud every year. So this is a major, major difference maker by using process-driven UI.
That's
Our,
nuts.
I know. In our finance and supply chain workflows space, we've got a number of playbooks that are relating to sourcing or supplier management. So you can see a couple of examples here. In our technology workflow space, our incident teams, security incident, major incident teams all have various flavors of out-of-the-box playbooks that help customers get started on their playbook journey. Not to mention our employee workflows teams. So they are using HR lifecycle events. And so there are various playbooks that can be used for employee onboarding or offboarding or any other type of lifecycle event that may need to be processed. In our creator space, we collaborated with a couple of teams this year to build playbook configuration into their application experiences. In the Creator Studio space, users can build very simple request fulfill applications. And as part of the automation configuration, they're actually using the Playbook Canvas to build their end-to-end business process. And then in our integration hub space, there's a new offering that allows a business user to request a new automation. And so they will essentially build a placeholder process using our diagram. And then that process is submitted as a request to a development team, and the development team will ultimately fulfill that request for automation.
I
And
love
we
the
like to,
collaboration aspect of this. That's amazing.
yes, yes, and absolutely part of our strategy going forward, bringing more users together, empowering any user to automate workflow or request workflow without having to roll up their sleeves and get into code. And then finally, we like to drink our own champagne on the platform. Um, our guided setup capability this year migrated over to using playbooks from a configuration perspective as well as a runtime perspective. So anytime you are completing a guided setup, whether it's setting up an application or setting up your instance, you're actually interacting with a playbook. So some really cool things available today as a starting point, as well as our builder capability, which allows you to augment the out of the box or build custom workflows to meet your business needs. So
Awesome.
Lisa, why don't we talk about some best practices when we think about building playbooks?
That is a very good question, and one we've seen asked by our community, by developers, increasingly. With the rising number of out-of-the-box playbooks, how do you best proceed when you want to adopt them? And I would say there are a couple different approaches, and it really comes down to what your goal is with those playbooks. We do ship a handful of demo playbooks with a store app called Process Automation Experience Demo. Those aren't actually meant as production-ready playbooks, so if you do want to adopt them because they might suit your use case that you by chance need, just create a copy and or reuse the out-of-the-box activities that are being used in those demo playbooks. On the larger scale and the playbooks that are being shipped by our business units like CSM, FSM, or field service management, the public sector playbooks, or any of the others, I would say it really depends on how much modification you expect to do on these playbooks. There's always some giving and some taking. One benefit if you modify out of the box playbooks is that you will get updates. So whenever our business units, our product teams publish new versions of their out of the box playbooks, you will get a skip records when you upgrade your instance or update the store app. And then you can go ahead and choose if you want to adopt the changes that have been pushed or skip them and keep your modifications. However, this will quickly become a little burdensome if you do plan like larger scale modifications, like a whole new stage that is added to a playbook, multiple different activities that you want to do. So in that case, if you expect there need to be significant changes to a playbook, I would recommend to create a copy and then keep an eye on the release notes. Keep an eye on the out of the box playbook and manually add any changes and updates that have been added to that if they suit your use case and your needs.
Yes, and one thing that we did in the duplicate capability that's coming in Yokohama, so again, our safe harbor notice applies here. We're making it easier to extend out of the box playbooks from a duplicate. So previously, you could not change your trigger table when duplicating a playbook. So you had to have very much a like for like scenario. And so we receive feedback that we really want the ability to change trigger table when we duplicate a playbook. So maybe we're going from the case table to a card disputes table, which is extended from case. So really they're related to one another. There really isn't a lot of danger in a bunch of invalidated data references should we duplicate an out of the box case playbook and use it for a card dispute use case. So in Yokohama, we are kind of lifting that restriction, making it possible to change your trigger table on duplicate. And then also just in general, anytime you want to open up your process properties and change your trigger table, you'll be able to do so starting in Yokohama going forward. So that will dramatically improve the ways in which you can take our out of the box playbooks as a starting point and then build on top of them for your use cases.
Those are exciting changes, and they will really help adopting the out of the box ones, I think.
I agree.
Awesome. That's good info. Thank you.
Of
All
course.
right. So, as we said, we have been talking about playbooks in the past already. Our last comprehensive look at playbooks was last year, around this time in November and December. Jason joined me on the Platform Academy speaking about playbooks and playbook experience. Previously, it was called Process Automation Designer. So, you will find previous content under that product name as well. This past year, I have doubled down on creating content for Playbook Experience. I've been listening to our customers, to our partners who are asking for some more advanced training and some more advanced info and guides, step-by-step walkthroughs on how to do some of the advanced configuration that is available for Playbooks and Playbook Experience. So if you do want to go back and learn more about this, I encourage you to check out the playlist that is linked on this slide. This year, we've covered not just the creation of custom playbook activities, including creating a dedicated subflow, creating flow data definitions, and also custom UI that is being edited in UI Builder. Then further questions that we got were around configuring Playbook Experience. Again, this is oftentimes done either in UI Builder or in the backend of our platform. And this academy will walk you through different options and different ways on how to set up your Playbook experience. Whether you want to show the stage pickers, if you want to show a focused or a stacked layout of your activities, for each of your processes, you might have different requirements. So you can define different layouts and different views and different things that your users and also agents see when they work your playbook processes. And then going further with the addition of being able to show playbooks in the mobile app and in Service Portal, a lot of customers have asked for some info on how to configure that and how to set that up. And then lastly, we introduced a new type of activity called questionnaire to gather data at runtime that can be quite dynamic and doesn't always need a representation on the table that your playbook runs against. So maybe you want to gather some data that you only need for the specific playbook, and then this academy will take you through that. And then you will be happy to know that a lot of these guides and these step-by-step instructions will be showing up in a new planned Now Learning course. So not only are we working on enablement together with Jason, who joins me for a lot of these academies, but we also work closely with our enablement team and our curriculum writers who create amazing content for you on Now Learning. So you can do these things in a provided instance and learn this hands-on. And we're very excited that this new training and the rework trainings will go live later this year or early next year.
Excellent. I was just thinking about, we're coming towards the end of the year, Lisa. We set out with some pretty lofty goals for the year with producing a lot more enablement content and revamping Now Learning and going deeper with some training content. It looks like job well done. So I truly appreciate your partnership and the work speaks for itself. We're getting tons
Thank
of
you.
great feedback from our customers and a lot of excitement about more content, helping us get started, helping us to dive into some of these advanced configuration topics.
Awesome. I couldn't do it without you and your team.
Well, we're here for it. It's a blast.
Awesome.
And we would be
Speaking of your
remiss.
team.
Yes, we would be remiss if we didn't bring up Now Assist. So we've made some major investments in building in Now Assist capabilities into Playbooks this year, whether it's providing inline recommendations if you're swapping out placeholder activities for real activities. We also have a pretty robust playbook generation capability at this point where you can either provide a natural language prompt, you can import an image. We provide preview and reprompt capabilities so that you can truly build out the playbook that you want to power your workflows via this Now Assist capability. So Adam and I recently did a creator toolbox session with Earl and really jumped into the weeds of the power of Now Assist for playbook generation. So we definitely encourage you to check that out. We have a lot of excitement about where our Now Assist journey is taking us, and we hope that you do as well.
That's so exciting.
Excellent. Well, let's talk about one more feature that we've just introduced. So it's coming out this week with our Q4 store release for Playbooks, and it is called Variants. So picture a world where you may have rather complex processes. Not all processes are linear. Not all processes are straightforward for a singular use case. We have global organizations and we have global processes, and these processes may have nuances depending on the department that you're in, or the severity of the situation, or the geography. And so variance is a feature that allows you to define a base playbook. So you will define your playbook stages and the activities that are common throughout any occurrence that requires this process. And then you can layer on top of that these child variants. And so what a variant will do is it will allow you to add specific nuances to the process. And so in runtime, in this screenshot here, I've got an incident response process. I've got a couple of variants relating to hardware and software. In runtime, when you create the record that's going to trigger this playbook to run, the engine will evaluate attributes about the trigger record. And so if we've collected information such as we've got an incident and the category is hardware, subcategory is disk, you can present that base playbook and any disk specific activities that need to be completed for this particular incident. So it really gives you ease of configuration. So no longer do you need to either build multiple playbooks that are very similar in nature, but account for the nuances. And also, you don't have to build very complex playbooks where every stage and every activity has some kind of run condition to evaluate to achieve this kind of outcome. Once again, you can build your base playbook and then layer on top of that variants that account for those nuances. So this is available in our Q4 store release. So you'll be looking for Process Automation Designer version 26.2. This is available with the latest version of Workflow Studio. So Workflow Studio 26.2 releases at the same time. If you install Workflow Studio, you will get these capabilities. And I just want to mention a little bit about the future of our variants feature. So in our Q1 timeframe, Yokohama Q1 store release, we are going to support re-evaluation of variants. So let's say I start down the path of a disk incident, and then it turns out I made a mistake, and this is really a software incident. What you would be able to do is update the category to software, restart the playbook from the beginning, and the engine will re-evaluate which variant it should run, and it will take you down the software path.
Nice.
On top of that, we're looking at additional features like can we provide authors or admins the ability to control which person can manage which variant, deferred variant evaluation, which would allow me to complete a certain number of steps in the execution of my playbook before the engine determines which variant to follow. So we've got a lot planned in this feature coming. Very excited for customers to get started and to give us feedback so that we can continue to evolve the product to support complex multinational types of processes. Cool. So I'm going to jump out of our presentation for a moment. We'll do a quick demo of the variants feature, and then we'll come back to do some wrap up. All right,
Excellent.
so I've started with my incident response demo process. This is part of the Process Automation Experience Demo Store app, so feel free to install it. And this showcases a number of our playbook features. So it's a good example of how a playbook may be implemented and good use of the content, the out-of-the-box activities that are available. So with the introduction of variants, we've got this left panel here. And when you click on Playbook Variants, you've got this panel that opens. We have a little bit of a tour that will help you understand the basics of the variants feature. And then you can get started from here. So in this case, we've got an incident playbook. So this will trigger anytime an incident record is created. And in the trigger conditions, we say that the short description must start with playbook : So we've just got a short a trigger condition there. So I'm going to create a variant for when I have an incident and the category is hardware. So I can give this a name, whatever I want it to be. And then I've got this condition builder here. So what I'm looking for is my category. And I'm going to say when the category is hardware. All right, so we'll create the variant. Now you can see a couple of things happen. First, we've got this variant value in our tree here. And second, you can see that my canvas kind of grayed out. I'm going to explain what happens here. So this is representative of the base playbook, but we are on the variant level of the tree. So we are not modifying any of the base playbook values. These stages are supported in the base playbook. And what I can do in a variant is add activities, and I can also reorder the sequence of the activities. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to insert one activity into the first stage. I'm just going to do something simple like an instruction, and you can see some things are happening here. So let's say I need to collect hardware information. I'm going to save this. And now I'm going to show you a couple why you're seeing certain visual cues. So here we've got an icon that indicates that this activity that we've just added is part of this variant. Now we also have some indicators that say, hey, some of these other activities were updated. What happens behind the scenes when you insert an activity is we've essentially changed the start rules for this variant. So in the base playbook, let's go back to this, you've got 3 activities in stage 1. And the start rules go as following. Confirm contact details, run when the stage starts. Gather more information is after the first activity. And the third activity, review existing instance for the caller, starts after the second activity. But when we insert an activity into a variant, we've now fundamentally modified the start rules. So we are overriding the default start rules and inserting these new start rule overrides to account for the fact that we've added a variant activity here. So for our MVP, you can add activities to an existing stage, and you can modify the underlying start rules to reorder these activities as you see fit. In the future, we are going to be looking at things like allowing you to override the default configuration of an existing activity. So let me give you an example. Let's say there's a form here and it's generic. So when we define the playbook, we know that there needs to be a step 3. It needs to present a form, but maybe there is a hardware specific form that we want to present when there's a hardware variant. There's a software specific form we want to present when there's a software variant. When we introduce overrides in the future, we would give you the control to be able to override components of the activity instance, such as the form view that's being rendered. For now, you can add net new activities. And so if you wanted to achieve the scenario I just described, you would add a net new activity that contained the hardware form view in the hardware variant, likewise a software form view in the software variant. But just wanted to walk through what you're seeing and why. And then we'll add another variant here and continue the discussion. So I can either add a sibling variant. So I'm going to do that. Let's call it software. And we will look for category of software. Okay. And then we can create children variants as well. So if we want to have, for example, disk, we can go for a subcategory. And there we have it. So for our MVP, we support 6 layers down. So if you need to go 1, 2, 3, and then 3 layers into that, you can go up to 6 layers deep. And these conditions, these variant conditions, don't just have to be single row conditions. You can build any type of complex condition you like. So if you are, again, I mentioned geographically nuanced processes. If your hardware process in America is different from your hardware process in EMEA, you can look for things like the geography where the incident was opened, and so on and so forth. Anything that you can reference from your trigger record, you can use to build these variant conditions.
You just said from your trigger record, are there any plans to support other conditions, maybe a decision table for variants?
Yes. So we have on our roadmap a couple of concepts at this point. So we are thinking about how we can use decision tables to output a flow or a playbook that should be executed. We are actually envisioning a day where you can use decision tables to define the variant tree itself. So definitely there is a story to tell with decision tables going forward. And then, like I mentioned before, the concept of deferred variant evaluation is absolutely on the roadmap as well. And what this will do is it will, if you have a scenario where, let's say you just open an incident and you won't know until step 5 what flavor of incident and therefore what variant you should run. The deferred evaluation would allow you to define the point at which the children variant should be evaluated. So if I've got a base playbook and then I say after step 3 evaluate my children, the variant children would only be able to begin their sequence after step 3. And so there's kind of like this sequenced staggered approach to configuring playbooks when you're deferring the variant evaluation. But we've absolutely heard this conversation, heard this need from our application teams, as well as some of our early adopter customers who really want to work with us to push the bleeding edge of the capabilities.
Sounds exciting. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. So let me just quickly do this. Let's test our playbook. I have incident here. Let's run a test. So we've got an incident that is hardware. And so what we'll want to look for is that instructional activity in our first stage. So you can see here that our step 1 is confirm contact details as it was in the playbook. And then we had added a collect hardware information instructional activity. And so
Nice.
what we did was we opened an incident, categorized it as hardware, and then in runtime, it presents this activity. Now, if I was to open another incident and not categorize it, just submit it without a category, we would run through the normal base playbook, but we would not have this collect hardware information activity present. And similarly, we didn't spend the time building out nuances to disk and software, but had I done so, those specific activities would run in combination with the base playbook. So again, really powerful feature. We're looking forward to hearing from customers what they think of this and the really cool things that they're able to do in providing a dynamic and comprehensive workflow that handles any type of scenario. And like we've just discussed, we're going to be building on top of this feature going forward with some really cool enhancements that we have in mind. So with that,
Before,
yeah.
wait, before you move out of the demo, can you quickly tell me what the little favorite star icon is about?
Yes, so some additional goodies in here. So you are able to favorite a variant. So in a
Ooh.
world where you've got, we set up to 6 layers. So if you've got multiple
Mm-hmm.
layers, let's say you're doing some sort of sales territory
Mm-hmm.
planning. Sales territories and segments can be very deep in terms of the hierarchy. You can favorite your different variant levels, and then they will show up here. So you
Excellent.
can easily access your favorited variants. You can also unfavorite them from here. And then also, if you're looking for a quick way to locate a variant, you can search both from
Nice.
the content tree as well as from the favorites menu. So just a nice goodie on top of the minimum viable product that we're shipping.
And I think I saw another usability feature is that you can reorder or like drag and drop the different variants. So for example, if I created something on the same level, but I really wanted to be a child of another, is that possible?
Mhm. So we are restricting drag and drop between layers here,
Hmm.
but order does matter. So if I wanted to take siblings
Oh,
and reorder them, I can reorder siblings. So that's you bring up a really good point. So I can drag and drop and reorder siblings, but I can't promote or demote an activity or a variant, sorry, between layers of the content tree. Now, I'm glad you brought this up because we can talk about why order matters. So let's say that in the hardware category, we've got a couple of different subcategories. Maybe I've misconfigured my sibling subcategory variants so that they have the same conditions. And so the question would be which variant is going to run if they have the same variant conditions? The one that is ordered first. So the engine will traverse the tree from the base down, and the
hmm.
first match that it has, evaluating the trigger record conditions, it will run that variant. And so if you do have scenarios where variants are configured with the same conditions, it will run the first one that it finds. Yeah, good catch, Lisa.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That's so exciting. I think this is a really cool feature, and I can not wait to see what our customers do with this.
Absolutely. Absolutely agree. All right, let's jump back into our presentation. We've got a couple more slides before we wrap up.
Awesome. All right.
All right.
So we've seen the demo, which is really, really exciting. Um, So far, I want to just thank you, everybody, for staying with us so far. We really love your feedback. As you can hear from Jason's description of this feature, any product that we work on, we could not make our products as great as they are without you and your feedback and your input. So whether you have any questions about this, the features that you saw today, questions about enablement for playbooks or workflow automation in general, please take a minute to fill out this survey, or you can also leave a comment on the community article that goes with this Academy session. And then lastly, of course, if you like this session, please give it an upvote. We really, really want your feedback on either content or product or features, things you're missing, things you're still looking for. We want to make sure that our products help you do your best work. And then if you're interested in other topics beyond just workflows, I want to recommend my Colleagues Academy series. Each of them covers a different part of the Now platform. We have academies on analytics, experiences, but also, of course, artificial intelligence, like the Now Assist capabilities. Very new in this one. I'm very excited. You should check out the Skill Kit, which allows you to create your own Now Assist features, basically, which is super exciting. So keep an eye out for those sessions that are coming up with this November store release. And then lastly, people who have seen my videos before might know this, but I want to also point you to the Workflow Automation Center of Excellence on the community. I am collecting resources and links. I am publishing new articles and best practices, FAQ guidance around flows, playbooks, and decision tables. You can always leave me comments there, and I'd love to know about your use cases. And with that, I think we can wrap this up with a very, very big thank you. I want to especially thank Jason for joining me, not just today, but for all of the content that we produced this year to help our customers adopt our products and to always carry your voice, your customer's voice, to our inbound product managers, our product owners, and our developers and engineers. They're always excited to hear from you as well. And with that, thank you, everybody, for taking some time to learn about workflow automation. And I really hope to see you again in my sessions. Watch my videos, give me comments, give us feedback, and contribute to making this platform the best that it can be. So thank you so
Absolutely.
much.
Thank you,
Until
Lisa.
next
Thanks,
time.
everybody.